So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's already 8. Give us 2-3 more minutes while we are waiting for more people to join in. Our host for the session, Mr. MP Joseph, and our eminent guest, Mr. J Alphonse, they are here alongside many other dignitaries and other guests who have joined in to listen to this very beautiful and interesting conversation about the mountains of Munnar. Give us 2-3 more minutes. Meanwhile, we'll just play the small video so that you can all enjoy the lovely picturesque Munnar, despite the fact that at this point of time, you cannot travel to those places, but you can still enjoy the video. Give us a few more minutes.
Mohit, the episode is Munnar and the mountains, because it's not only about the Munnar and the mountains.
Yes, exactly. Munnar and the mountains. Certainly. And so many other things that can happen with
Absolutely,
that.
right.
I'll just play the video for everyone. Give us 3 more minutes, I guess. And if you have the permission from the host, Mr. Joseph, and as the guest, Alphonse, 3 more minutes, sir. So with this, I would invite and request everyone for this beautiful evening and a discussion around the mountains and the Munnar. This is our second episode in this series where City Book Leaders and the Kerala Museum has taken up this initiative to bring back what we have in our lovely states. Today we have been joined by various people across many of the countries as well as many cities in the country. And for this, we have been graced, for this series, in fact, All That's Kerala, we have been graced by none other than Mr. MP Joseph, a very renowned IAS officer, a former UN civil servant, and has been with ILO. He has served at Cambodia. He was former district magistrate at Ernakulam. He's a very renowned personality, a literature personality based out of Kochi. And there's no better person than him to talk about the entire state, Kerala. In the last session, we had Dr. Raghavan as our first host for the series. And today we are privileged to have none other than Mr. J Alphonse, a former Union Minister for Tourism. And that's certainly where the love for our cities and the states and the country definitely lies. And without much of ado, it's already 8:06. I am Mohit Gupta. I now invite our eminent host, Mr. MP Joseph, to take this evening ahead. Over to you, sir, please.
Thank you, Mohit. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the introductions as well. Uh, Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of All That's Kerala, a chat along the backwaters. Mohit, for those who don't know him, is a very young, how do I call it, a literary entrepreneur. He has started an enterprise called City Book Readers, and he holds book readings, book reviews, etc. He used to do it physically, now he does it online. And he's into literature, into arts, into culture, and he's especially interested in Kerala. About in last November, he invited me to Delhi for one of his programs called Ras Se Bana Banaras, where I spoke about Kerala and its association with Benares. Khaledi is where Adi Shankara was born. And from there, he went all the way to Benares, to Varanasi. And that's how I got acquainted with him. And when he suggested that we should have a program exclusively on Kerala, I agreed. So thank you very much. So this is the second episode of the program, All That's Kerala, a chat along the backwaters. This is being done together with City Book Leaders, or with Mohit, is the entrepreneur, and the Kerala Museum. Atithi Nair, who is in charge of Kerala Museum, is not here today, but this is part of the work that is being organized by the Kerala Museum in Cochin. The whole idea of this program is to bring Kerala not only to Malayalis within Kerala, but across the country and across the world. That's the purpose of this. And it's going to be a very interactive session. I would like you to give your remarks, ask your questions, make your suggestions, and disagree with me or with Alphonse, our guest, whenever you feel like it. You can ask questions on the chat box, and I'll break and give you time to speak on the mic so that you can give your remarks, your suggestions, your questions, which I'm sure Alphonse will answer. It has to be a very interactive session. So please ask your questions, give us your remarks, give us your suggestions as we go along. There will be a Q&A answer session at the end, but don't wait for it. Ask your questions and your suggestions, and give your suggestions right from the beginning. The only thing I'd say is that make your point, make your questions short, sweet, and to the point, so that we don't take other people's time. As Mohit said, the first episode the guest was Dr. Raghavan, and Dr. Raghavan spoke about Kerala in respect of its, he's a cricket umpire, as many of you know him. So he spoke about cricket in Kerala, about the curries of Kerala, and about cardamom spices. He was very knowledgeable, he was very witty, and he could talk very well. Now, speaking of talk, I think there's nobody like Alphonse Kannandanam, KJ Alphonse, who can talk. He can really talk. He can mesmerize you with his talk, his ideas, his substance. You may disagree with him, and I do at times, but that's not the point. The point is that we have an exchange of ideas, and therefore, who better to take this series forward than Alphonse Kannandanam? And I think they're absolutely wrong for me to introduce Alphonse to you. He is so well known, I'm not. And but then courtesy demands that I should do it. First thing, of course, as those of you know him, he can hold you spellbound with his ideas, with his talk, with his stories, etc. And to introduce him, I'd say that to me, first and foremost, he was a bureaucrat like me from the IAS. He's 1 year junior to me. He's from the 1979 batch, but many are senior to me in thinking, in politics, in writing, and so on. He took his premature retirement many years ago, and then he went on to stand for elections from the Kanyarapalli constituency in Kerala, and became an MLA, a member of the state legislative assembly, representing that spice town, as we would call it, set in the mountains, Kanyarapalli. And then after 5 years, he moved on. He became a member of the parliament of the upper house, Rajya Sabha, and then went on to become a minister, the minister for tourism, independent charge, minister of state for tourism, independent charge in the in Modi's first government. He also, of course, played a very important role in the DDA when he was in the IAS. So that's a very, very short introduction to him, because he really doesn't need introduction. But I have a very special relationship with him. a relationship with, I think, very few people know. He was the best man at my wedding many, many years ago. He came home. I was staying in Panapalli Nagar then. I had got into the IAS. This was, I think, 80. And then he came home Sunday morning. I'm sorry, the wedding day morning. I think it was a Sunday. And then there are the photos. He dressed me up. Those little errors in my in my tie. He straightened up. And then he went to the church with me. He was behind me in the church. You can see that photograph there. And he prompted me to say "I do" when he saw me sort of hesitating. so I said "I do" because he sort of prompted me from behind. You can see him prompting me from behind. And so there it is. So our relationship is very special, and it goes a very long way. Alphonse, I've never told you a thank you for that. So let me use this occasion to say, Alphonse, thank you so much for being my best man. Those days, being a best man was a great thing. So thank you so much, and thank you for prompting me. Men have these last-minute doubts about marriages. So thank you for prompting me and making me, commit myself. Thanks a lot. But we are not talking about me and my wedding today. We're talking about Munnar in the mountains. Alphonse is perhaps a right person, the most appropriate person to speak about Munnar. Why? Because why did we choose Munnar? For two reasons. One, because Munnar represents the mountains of Kerala. When people talk about Kerala and its mountains, they talk about Munnar, they think about Munnar. Now, just as there is a very special place for me in my relationships with Alphonse, Munnar has a very special relationship with him. His first posting after he got into the IAS as assistant collector and sub-collector was in Munnar. Devikulam is officially the town close by. It's sub-collector Devikulam, but really sub-collector Munnar. So even though this is a chat along the backwaters, and there's a contradiction in terms of talking about Munnar and the mountains, yet I think, what is Kerala without the mountains? And who better to talk about Munnar and the mountains than Alphonse? Alphonse, welcome. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Joseph.
My pleasure.
Thank you for the very, very generous words. You've been very kind. I think that's because you are my friend, you are my senior, and it's been an incredible relationship. You being there, and you see when you're the collector of Cochin, we all really looked up you, this young, handsome, dynamic man who really transformed Cochin. And of course, when to be a UN civil servant, famous guy, and a specialist on Cambodia and a whole lot of things. So Joseph, I was just wondering if I didn't prompt you to say I do that day, what would have happened? I don't know.
Thank you so much.
Carry on, please.
Thank you so much. I think I would have said that I do in any case. Thanks anyway for that. But then I talked about your origins and your relationship with Munnar. But what are the origins of Munnar? You've been there. Everybody knows about Munnar, but where did Munnar begin? Would you be able to shed us some light on the origins of Munnar and how tea came there? Tea is what makes Munnar what it is. The beautiful manicured tea gardens of Munnar. So can you tell us something about what Munnar is all about, how it began, and how it got this predominance of place in Kerala tourism?
Joseph, I was posted after my training in Masuri Academy itself. We got the order of me posting me to Devikulam. And I said, my God, how terrible. I mean, you can't get a worse place than Munnar because there are no telephones working there. The transport was bad, the road was bad, the road to Munnar was there. And of course, there were hardly any roads in the entire subdivision, starting from almost the EDK headquarters right up to Mundakem. It was basically all kacha roads. So I said, what a place to be. I went there cursing. But exactly in a month, Joseph, I completely fell in love with that place. And today, looking back, really, if you ask me, I've worked everywhere, Kerala, Delhi, been an observer in so many places, travel across the world as tourism minister of India and as a bureaucrat. And if you ask me today, which is the best place under the sun, I would say Munnar.
Why?
So, yeah. And really, it's got so much of memories. I mean, apart from that, personally, I got married when I was sub-collector Munnar. My elder son Akash was born there. And the incredible journeys, what I became really eventually in the civil service or whatever I learned in Munnar. Because, Masuri Academy, we were one of those people. We had a bunch of people who are basically in the disco all the time. We never took the classes seriously because we said we will learn when we are on the job. When we got to Munnar, we had to learn because the collector was never there. There was no STD call between Munnar and Idiki where the district collector was. So one had to learn. And we said, yes, now the place is beautiful. Let me learn. So we have fantastic experience there. And of course, I still have a lot of friends in Munnar even now. Martin, Varghese, a whole Tangapan, a whole lot of people whom I still visit. Even about 8 months back, my wife and I, we visited again. And so we have incredible memories. I really consider this to be the best place under the sun. I'm saying not only in India, the best place under the sun, in spite of having visited how many countries? 50, 60, maybe 100. I don't even know the numbers. Well, Munnar, of course, it's known for tea. 1877, J.D. Munro, he got a concession from the Raja of Punjab. He was of course a sub king under the Travancore king. He came visiting there. He actually came to settle a business contract between two people. So he came there and then he said, well, it looks beautiful weather. So he said, why not do something here? And originally he thought of having a coffee plantation. So in 1877, he got a concession from the Maharaja, from the Raja of Punyar for 136,600 acres of land in Munnar area and for plantation of coffee. And that was in 1877. But 3 years later, the plantation came a chap called A.H. Sharp. In fact, he's a plantation specialist. He came and said, well, the coffee is not working here and it wouldn't grow here. So they said, let's try out tea, because earlier in Animalais and also in various parts of Nilgiris, they had tried out the tea and it was working. And tea was in huge demand because the British Empire just drank tea and tea and tea. And the Chinese tea was very expensive and only the very rich could afford. So they got the maximum amount of areas in India under tea. So he had these concessions and started planting in 1880 tea garden. And that is how the Munnar tea gardens came into existence. They brought in thousands and thousands of people from Tamil Nadu. I won't say slave labor, but pretty close to that, and got them to come in extremely difficult circumstances because it was very tough. It was dense forests, wild animals. They came all the way from Tamil Nadu side, not from Kerala side. There was no road from Kerala side, and started the plantations. And it was called the Finlay Tea Company. I don't know why Finlay, because I think he must have been the major investor, Finlay. And in 1924, the big floods of Munnar happened. In fact, they had a railway link from top station up to beyond Matupatti, just about 5 kilometers from Munnar. So all that railway line and everything almost got washed off in 1924. And of course, they had to start all over again, and they did. And in 1964, the Tatas became a partner of the Finlay company. It became a Tata Finlay. And I think in 2005, the Finlays given and divested, and Tata's took over. It became Tata Tea. And
I'll stop you on Finlay. Though Munnar was really a part of the Punya kingdom under Travancore, and though we were at that time really under the British, I believe that it was the Finlays who were actually ruling Munnar. They were the magistrates there. There were judges there. They owned everything and they ruled the place much more than the Maharaja of Pune, much more than even the British. Is that true?
Yeah, very true, Joseph. I mean, they were the masters, the kings of the place. I think the Punya Raja, what was the annual rent he was getting from 1,36,600 acres of land? 3,000 rupees. So that was the annual rent he was getting. He just gave it up to the British. And I'm told some point of time, even the criminal courts, they were all civil courts, they were all manned by the British. So it was basically the British running the place. And we could see this when we even went as sub-collector. A sub-collector was really kind of seen to be something subordinate to the general manager of Tata Tea. Then, of course, Mr. Lapin, an Irishman, very decent man. But it was, the kingdom was of the British. And of course, we had a lot of Indian managers there, but the general manager always was the British, Mr. Lapin. And I have a very interesting story about him. I'll tell you later. He happened to be the last white man to come as general manager, and I'm the reason for that.
Is it still true that the tea estates have a lot of influence there, power there? Is that right, wrong? How would you put it in Munnar?
No, Joseph, not really. I think that entered with the 1981 when the general manager was the king, and Tata's dictated everything, and every building, everything was built by the Tatas. The market was run by the Tatas. Everything they decided everything, sold all the land according to their will, and these are some of the things which we managed to kind of reassert that there is a government in Kerala, that this whole establishment is under the government of Kerala. It's part of the Kerala kingdom. So we made them to realize this. And you know how I did it? Very simple. So I got a petition saying the Munnar River is being polluted by Tata instantly. So I issued a notice to the general manager saying that, and one is a district, one is also a magistrate, a subdivisional magistrate under 133 CRPC. I issued an order saying, please stop this. This is my notice to you. Please appear in my court. Of course, the general manager of Tata T, Mr. Lapin, obviously wouldn't appear before a sub-collector or a collector. I mean, that was not the tradition. He didn't appear, issued 2 more notices, didn't appear. Finally, I had to issue him a warrant. So he had to appear in my court on a warrant. He was brought by the police, and we established the kind of that Kerala, that Munnar tea estate, and Tatas, not Tatas, the Finlay Kingdom was part of Kerala. And so, of course, they had to comply with the orders. They went to the High Court, didn't get any relief, went to the Supreme Court, didn't get any relief. And so Mr. Lapin left after a year, and they never sent a white man again to Munnar. So we kind of reestablished a certain, control, saying this is part of Kerala.
Let us, any questions from the audience? You've heard Alphonse so far. Any questions at this stage? We have the.
But Joseph, one clarification. But I had a fantastic relationship with Tata T after that. I mean, very good relationship, even with Lapin. I had a very good relationship with all these people.
I'm sure. Yeah. But they represent the Tatas. The tea in Tatas represent foreign exchange for us. We are all tea drinkers. I'm an avid tea drinker, so absolutely, I have no doubt about that. Any questions at this stage? Any suggestions? Any remarks on what Alphonse has said so far? You can either ask the question directly, or you can even write on the chat box, and we will. Well, there's a question that's coming up. I don't know whether you'll be able to answer it. This is from, I think, Sri Kumar. He says, "How did Neelakunji come to Munnar?" Is that something you can answer?
Well, Joseph, Neelakunji. It's Neelakunji. It flowers only once in 12 years. Yes, it flowered last year also, and the Honorable Prime Minister was very keen to go there. Then the floods came, so we said, well, this is not the right time to go and see Neelakunji. So so he couldn't come. No, see, Munnar was all wild forest, and so we had so much of flora and fauna there. We have amazing stuff. We have, of course, the chandanam, what do you call it in English? Sandalwood in Marayur, and some remote place called Vattavada. We have so much of exotic flowers. So Neelakunji was very much part of the local species. It's not something which is imported by the British or by anybody else. And I just had one chance to see that, not when I was a sub-collector. I went back there once to see that when it flowered once. I think I was in Delhi and I came back. And it's an incredible story. You would see the entire mountains, purple and blue, and you can't even describe the colors. It's beautiful.
I was in Munnar, I think, about 2 or 3 years ago. The drive from Kodamangalam, from up the hills, is beautiful. I mean, it's one of the most exquisite. It's one of the most scenic road journeys one can think of. It's those tea gardens. There's more manicured tea gardens in the lower hills, the rubber plantations, and so on. It's tremendously beautiful. But once you reach Munnar town, Munnar is a dirty little town. The day I went there, it was raining. It is a dirty little town, like most of India's hill stations. Why is that so? Why is Munnar? Our Kerala towns are quite clean, but why is Munnar so dirty?
Joseph, it's an incredible journey. You go from Kodamangalam, you reach Nedimangalam Bridge. That's where you start to climb up the forest to reach Munnar. It's an incredibly beautiful drive. And of course, first about 20-30 kilometers is actually still forest. And of course, when you're driving all alone, which I was doing most of the time, and also I was driving most of the time myself. I had an old rickety Jeep without even a cabin. So, with the canvas, I was supposed to be the only sub-collector without a car. and to get your old Jeep. So I used to drive it myself most of the time. Incredible journey. You know how this road was built from Nedimangalam to Munnar? The Maharaja, this was built by the Maharaja of Travancore. Because it was such dense forest, what they did was they told people, we'll pay you salary, but then of course as an incentive, they were throwing coins ahead of the lane of the road alignment, and people said you have to cut the forest, everything out there to go and collect the money. So they would keep on throwing this money, and these people could collect the money. And of course, that is how the whole road was built because it was so difficult to build. Yeah.
Is that
So
true? Is that a real story, or is it one of those legends?
no, no, no. This is true story. In fact, when you go from Nedimangalam, you go another 2 kilometers. There is a sharp bend. You see also foundation stone there. The foundation stone for this road was laid by Maharaja or Maharani. I don't exactly remember. I mean, that is most often a urinating point for most people because it's a huge flying up there. Yeah, you true. So you drive around 20-30 kilometers, you reach close to Adimari, then of course plantations start, not plantations, coconut plantations and all that start. You reach Adimari. When I was a subcontractor, there was just one tea shop and maybe a couple of little shops selling, spices. Now it's become a massive town. Then of course you start climbing and you reach Shantabara side, and then you see that's where the tea plantation start. First, of course, the cardamom, then the tea plantation start, and then of course you reach up Chittarapuram. That is where on the right side you see that power plant which was set up by the Tata Tea. I mean, long time ago. I don't know how many years back it was set up.
But
And
why
then
is Munnar town so dirty? That's the point.
yeah, the Munnar town is managed by the Tata Tea even today.
But they're
This
not
was built
dirty.
something like what 100 years back. It's horrible, Joseph. It's horrible. The only way to save Munnar town, if you ask me, is really to destroy. Just run a bulldozer through that place because there is nothing there. Munnar town has nothing. These are the 100-year-old old buildings and rickety buildings. There is absolutely nothing there. So all this really just needs to be demolished. And actually, before you reach Munnar, from that headworks onwards, there is quite a bit of land on both sides. You could actually build a new township there, and that could be the alternative. But it really needs to be raised to the ground.
There's a question, Alphonse, coming in from, is that Moto, I think, Pius. You spoke about his question as you spoke about. Moto, would you like to ask the question yourself? You articulated it. Would you like to ask the question yourself? The mic is yours. You can unmute yourself and ask it. Maybe he's not listening to me. So let me read out the question for you. Alphonse, you spoke about English managers holding sway over Munnar till the 1980s, but still a couple of estate companies hold sway over Munnar. Why is it so?
See, what they did was the entire Tata Tea, they divested, I think in 2005 or something, and they formed a cooperative society and transferred these entire estates to the workers. In fact, every worker, I think, holds 300 shares in the company. So it's the new model which Tata Tea did, and Tata Tea still holds, I think, 13% of the equity, and somebody else holds 13%. The rest is held by the workers. So Tata Tea really doesn't go. You know what they do is they buy the tea from the workers and they process it and they do the marketing, and that's where the big money is. So I don't know whether really the workers are getting a fair wages. I don't really have an idea. So it's a very convenient because managing an estate is a very difficult process, and therefore they have divested that part of it, do the processing and the marketing, and they're doing very well. But the tea, unfortunately, tea is not doing well for the past many years. So some of the sad things which I still see there, Joseph, is that the lanes which they have, they're called layam for the workers. They are still the single room thing in which 4, 5, 6 people still live. Those layams have not been modernized. In fact, Munnar doesn't really have a good school at all. The government school is not in a good shape. When you go to Matapati side, up there are a couple of schools have come up in the past 20 years. In fact, I had to really persuade Mr. Krishnakumar, who came as vice president of Tata Tea in 1982, I guess, to start a school, an English medium school, which they have set up. Again, it's not a span.
Is why, and this is a question from Sri Kumar Raghavan once more. Did we do a good job of developing Munnar into a nice, tourist town? Did we do that? I think we have failed.
Joseph, no. The government has done nothing. All that is come up there is whatever has been done by the private enterprise. That's it. In fact, the KTDC set up a hotel, which again is not, yeah, that's part of the government, right in the heart of the city. But if you see tourism, it's been completely developed by the private enterprise. But if you ask me really, don't even go to Munnar. When you go from Adimali, about 10 kilometers from Munnar, turn right towards Chittarapuram powerhouse. And there, that is where all the new resorts and developments are. You have hundreds of fantastic resorts. It's an incredible view, Joseph, which you will never ever see anywhere in the world. It's fantastic. You just stay in those hotels, which are fantastic. There are hundreds of them. So don't even really go to Munnar. As you said, Munnar town is cramped. There are no facilities. You can't do any shopping in Munnar at all. And so this is where the new action is. And those
in Delhi, Alphonse, in Delhi, when you were in charge of the DDA, you were also known as the demolition man because you demolished all those structures. Can't we? Is there something like that possible in Munnar? I mean, I don't believe in demolition per se, but beautifying it, making it a more appropriate place. The town is bad, but the countryside is so lavishly beautiful. What do we do about the town?
See, Joseph, this is because, why has this come up? Because the entire land is basically owned by Tata Tea, and the government has not been forthcoming. In fact, Tata Tea itself has been asking, please allow us to develop some of our bungalows into tourism centers, hotels, which the government has not allowed. Now, this won't do. You want people to come there. Tourism makes no meaning if you get millions of people coming into a place. They just pollute the place and go back on the same day. Where is the money, Joseph? The big money is when people stay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. And I believe this is a place where people can stay for 10 days. Government did nothing. You see, ever since I became tourism minister, and also earlier also I was arguing, take over 1,000 acres from Tata Tea, now the KDH Kannan company. Pay them adequate compensation. Don't just grab them. Develop at least 3,000 acres. Develop a fantastic tourism, an area, 3,000 acres. Plan it. Don't cut all the trees. Don't really just build unnecessarily. Get some of the best developers in the world who build beautiful resorts all over the world, a massive one with entertainment, with hotels and restaurants. See, Joseph, you make money at home at night in tourism, not during the day. Daytime, though, go visiting places, they might take a pass to enter a place. That's not where the money is. The money in tourism is night tourism. When I mention this to a lot of people, even on television, they say, oh my God, Alphonse is interested in nightclubs. It's crazy. You need to do this. Munnar is dead, let me tell you. Unless you don't go to Munnar, as I suggested, go to those Chittarapuram and those places. There are hundreds of resorts. Don't even go to Munnar. So but I want an active involvement from the government to acquire this land, pay compensation, get a global design to design this, and Munnar will be the biggest tourist attraction in the world.
There's a question from Benny. Is Benny? Can you ask the question yourself? You can unmute your mic and ask it. Benny, Devich and Benny, Devasiach and Benny. Would you like to ask the question yourself, Benny? Okay, otherwise I'll read it to save time. I'll read it for you. His question is, why can't government take control of Tata plantations in Munnar? Does it not have the legal application? Yeah, of course. This is
Joseph, in 1977, in fact, we brought in the KDH Kannadevan Act, and we took over 70,000 acres of land. And we left them with the rest wherever there were tea plantations and wherever they needed the wood for the tea industry, for the furnace they require wood. Except that area, we took over the land. You know what's the problem? Even today, we have not physically taken over a lot of areas. We have not. When I was sub-collector, I asked for a team of surveyors to come and take over. So some patches I took over because I couldn't get somebody to come and survey it properly. Even that order has not been implemented fully. So let me tell you again, government should not be in the business of running business. So if somebody asks me, you'll be converting Tata Tea into something like KSRTC or Air India. Please, it's not the government's business to run business. There are plenty of people with private enterprise in this country who will run business and obviously not run a tea garden at all. Absolutely not. I don't agree with this.
There's a very interesting suggestion from Abraham Tharagan. He says, why can't we promote camping? That's something we don't promote camping. You're being tourism minister. You know Kerala very well. We've never promoted camping in Kerala, have we? I mean, it's
in fact, this
hotels,
is what,
brick and mortar hotels. Why not camping?
See, this is exactly what I was suggesting. You need people to come and stay there for 8 to 10 days. That's where you'll make money. Not if somebody is going to drive up to Munnar and come back. You need trekking, you need Ayurveda, you need rock climbing. See, Munnar has such incredible possibilities. I mean, incredible possibilities. You also have the Matapati Dam and go up to the top station, and you can even drive down to the forest into Tamil Nadu. Once actually I lost my way, me and my wife. We just going driving. There was a road apparently 50 years back, and I heard about that. I said, let's go driving. Halfway through, we couldn't come back. And so we reached, which is that city on the other side? The famous educational city. And we reached there. So we didn't come back that day, next day, because it got too late. So Munnar can be so many things. It's got so much for every, from rock climbing to camping to mountaineering, you name it. And then, of course, you have the famous Erevikulam National Sanctuary there, National Park. The
Very
only
true.
place where you have the Nilgiri tar, the ibex,
Yeah,
and they have done a very good job preserving that. And today we have 700 to 800 Nilgiri ibex is one of the best preservation programs we had. And I don't even know whether you people know, in Rajamala Hills, where we had recently the landslide which killed, unfortunately, I mean, it's really such a sad thing. About 80 people died. You also have a trout farm which was run by the Tata Tea. I'm sure it's still there. So there is so much for everybody there, any category of people, from young people to old people. I think this is what we need to develop, Mr. Taragan. I think Taragan is my close friend. I know him pretty
I
well.
see.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Taragan, would you like to add to that? I believe Mohit, can you unmute Taragan so that he can ask the question or add to it? And also Jayan Krishna. Jayan Krishna, let me just, while Mohit unmutes Taragan, let me just recognize Jayan Krishna here. Jayan Krishna is the Chief Executive of the NSDC. And after Taragan, I will ask you to unmute to Jayan Krishna because he has also got a question. Mohit? Taragan, would you like to add anything to what you wanted to say earlier?
So I really, I'm no longer with NSTC. I'm the CEO of UK India Business Council now. I was with NSTC earlier.
Congratulations.
So my question actually is, I completely agree that government should not be in the business of tourism development. It should be a private sector play. But my only concern is that if it becomes a 100% private sector play, who would take the responsibility for the delicate environmental concerns in the region, in the absence of any credible independent regulator for the sector in our country?
Yeah, Abraham, two things we have done. After I became minister, I pushed for the...
Jayan Krishna, isn't it?
I'm Jayant.
Yeah. So, I mean, a couple of things we did. Yes, there needs to be government involvement in terms of building the infrastructure. That's why after I became minister, we pushed for a highway from all the way from Neriamangala, actually Kodamangala onwards, that highway to be expanded into 4 lanes. So the work is going on. So the infrastructure is being created. Secondly, as I said, government really needs to really acquire the land, develop the infrastructure, and then, of course, stop at that, give it to the private sector. So we need planning. We need very detailed planning of what can be done, architectural planning, structural planning, the physical planning, all that needs to be done. I'm not really saying, no, government should. Government, yes, obviously should have an influence. See, I'm all for sustainable environmental protection. I was reading this book. I think everybody should read this as an essential material, Sapiens. It's by Harari. I think he's the greatest thinker of the century. It talks about how human being has destroyed the universe, how he is the cruelest creature on the face of the earth, how we have wrecked everything. Kerala is a great example. We have wrecked everything. We have destroyed everything. So therefore, leaving it to him alone, I think we just need government controls. But again, unfortunately, Jayant, when you say government control, the whole issue of corruption comes in, but it can be done. We have proved it can be done. It can absolutely be done. So take the industry into confidence. When I was a minister, every day I saw at least about 50 people from the industry. There's not one person whose call I didn't take, whom I didn't meet. Everybody, I said they are the people with whom I want a minister who's going to run this ministry. I said it's going to be the hospitality industry at large who's going to really advise me to do what. So these are the things which we need to do. We need a political executive which is willing to take people into confidence, enterprise into confidence. We have a lot of very, very smart people in tourism in Kerala. We need to involve all those people, involve people with ideas. Now, the whole problem with we politicians is we are too arrogant. We don't want to listen. We pretend we know everything. This is a true of Joseph, of course, about our tribe, the IAS.
Absolutely.
The moment we get into the cross the gates of Masuri Academy, we pretend we know everything. I mean, of course, there are people like Joseph who have become such incredible encyclopedia of knowledge. But a whole lot of people get very arrogant. We bureaucrats don't listen. The political executive doesn't listen, don't listen. So, I mean, we need to change this whole culture. I changed this entire culture when I was a minister.
Thank you, Alphonse. I'll move on. Rose Tharagan, would you like to add anything? I've unmuted you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Good evening. I'm a person who travels I'm a person who loves to travel to forests and stuff and all. But unfortunately, I cannot travel to a dense forest or a forest reserve. But instead of building commercial buildings and stuff on these environmental areas, wouldn't it be better to have a campsite? It might be a government property where people can rent it for a day or so, where they can park their vehicles, or even tent a place. We can put up a tent and stay there. It will be the family can be more close to nature that way.
Again, I asked the question for you already, and he has answered it. So
But I would like maybe a little more. See, I think let's not go to extremes. I think we just need to be balanced in environmental protection. We need to survive on the face of the planet. We need to look after the planet very well. There's no doubt on that at all. Don't just say no, everything concrete is bad. No, concrete is necessary. We know how to build concrete beautifully, which can merge into the environment, into nature. So we need all these things. Camping is fine. We need resorts. We need beautiful resorts. We need all kinds of stuff. But please do it in a way which doesn't destroy the visual impact, the environment impact of it. And all that is possible. It's just possible to do it.
Very well said, Alphonse. I agree completely with you. Let me move on. You spoke about the 1924 floods in Munnar, which I believe destroyed Munnar completely. Now, we had floods, the Kerala floods in 2018 and a smaller flood in 2019. What are the lessons you would say we should have learned, or we are still learning, from the 24 floods and the way Finlay responded to it? We blame them, but they responded to it magnificently, I believe, by which that we can now use for the future floods that might happen in our state. What are the learnings from the 24
See,
floods?
Joseph, Munnar is a kind of a pretty peculiar kind of situation which happens there. When you have tea plantations, you don't really move the surface at all. So even the Rajmale, this landslide is a surprise, because when you have a tea plantation and you don't move the top surface, generally you don't have a landslide happening. Possibly what happened, there was such intensity of rain, so the water seeped down, and then of course there must have been a thin layer of soil only, and therefore the whole rock underneath that did happen. Otherwise, generally landslides don't happen in tea gardens at all. So the 1924, our floods don't really give too much of an experience to the rest of Kerala. And of course, we got to be very careful when we are dealing with nature. We allowed in 1954, I guess 56. This is called under the we allowed people to just walk into Idiki. You remember that? I don't know what was a scheme called 1956. We said we want to grow more food. So we allowed people from all the Kottayam, all that area to walk into Idiki and also walk into Wayanad. There were no regulations at all. People just cut forests, built. That's not the way to do it. We just need to plan out. And of course, lessons from floods. I think we just need to learn our lessons. Why is it that see, the main floods in 2018, I guess, happened even today, I hold, because the dams were not managed properly. Yes, there was a lot of rain. I was there actually, and I spent 2 weeks in Kerala when I was a minister. There was so much of rain, unprecedented rain, which came actually in a very small space of 10 days, actually, 7th of August to the 19th of August, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I think that was the date. So with that kind of intensity, it's very difficult, not to have the area flooding. And of course, then that's how we learn our lessons. Why is this happening? Why is there have such intensive rain in such short period? Or global warming. This is the impact of global warming. Have no doubts on this. We're going to reach a state in which we cannot predict weather at all. We cannot predict when to sow, when to reap, because the global warming is become so unpredictable. When what is going to happen, when we can't predict. Yes, but we are learning lessons. Some bit of it. What do you do with some place like Kutanad or the rest of the places, or where people have blocked? Take for example, we had such beautiful most of the Kerala's merchandise was moved in boats. We have covered everything. So where does the water flow out to? Where does it flow to? It cannot flow in. So we need to reestablish those water canals, not allow filling of paddy fields, because these are the things which allow the sponge to be created for water to settle down. But in spite of all that, possibly the 2018 and 19 floods possibly could not have been prevented except the management of the dam. This is where the Kerala government went wrong. They want to accumulate water so that they can make money out of electricity. They open multiple dams on the same side. I mean, take for example my sister's house in Chalakudi. They had 22.
Can I interrupt you and ask you, when we are talking of the mountains, about Mullaperiyar? Mullaperiyar is a 110-year-old dam. It's called a masonry gravity dam. If it breaks, then most of Kerala is going to be submerged. Most of central Kerala is going to be submerged. Many people are going to die. What is your feeling about Mullaperiyar? You think this is a dam that poses danger? You think there's a possibility even that it can break and cause havoc? What do you
Joseph,
think
I don't know, a sense of sanity does not sink into the country, into the Supreme Court. I'm very sorry to say, if you want, they want to hold me up for contempt of court, they can. I tried to implead in the petition between Kerala and Tamil Nadu in the Supreme Court, which was filed under 131 of the Constitution of India. This is after I was a member of the Kerala Assembly. They brought about this irrigation and what was it called? Kerala Irrigation and Water Conservation Amendment Act of 2006, under which they said two things. One is this dam is dangerous and therefore we are limiting the height to 136 feet. I spoke in the assembly and said this is completely wrong, because the moment you say this dam is illegal and then you are allowing a certain height, you are contradicting yourself. This will be held illegal by the court, whichever court it is. Exactly, that's what happened. Now, what's the origins of this dam? Again, the British legacy, 1881. The presidency of Madras had an agreement. Of course, they bullied obviously the Maharaja, who was a vassal king, into signing an agreement giving away the land in this area and allowing the Britishers to build this dam. And that was in 1881. And somebody called Denny Pennyquick. He designed and built this dam which was commissioned in 1895. It's made of surki. It doesn't have 1 gram of steel. So it is basically lime and rubble mixed together, and that is what the dam is. And this is a massive dam, and this is what now 125 years since the dam was built. It's a massive dam. It's got a capacity of 12.7 TMC. So that's a big dam. It can break anytime, Joseph. There is no dam of this size, Surki Dam, anywhere in the world existing today. It's a massive dam. Secondly, IIT Roorkee in its detailed study said this is an earthquake-prone region, and therefore, even earthquake of the size of something like 6 on the Richter scale possibly can damage the dam badly. And what happens, Joseph, if this dam damages badly? Comes Munnar on the way, and at Munnar it takes almost a U-turn, comes Idukki Dam. What happens? Idukki Dam has a capacity of 70 TMC, massive dam. It was the largest arch dam in Asia. If that 12.7 TMC of water from Mullaperiyar comes to Idukki Dam, the arch dam, the Idukki Dam also will break. What will happen? Your entire, I think, Kottayam district, Alappuzha district, Ernakulam district, Trichy district, part of it, I think 5 districts would be completely gone. Joseph, I don't know where you are. You are in Cochin, I guess, no?
Yes.
Wouldn't exist. How many million people are going to die? I don't know. Now, this is going to happen. See, we were stupid. When we signed this agreement, it was signed in 1881. That agreement was reinstated in an agreement which was signed by the government of Kerala under Achyuta Menon in 1970. Why did we do this? We not only reiterated what was in that agreement, but we also said they can produce electricity. They are producing 161 megawatt of electricity from this dam. And what is the government of Kerala getting? 10 lakhs. Forget the money part. I'm not bothered about the money part. See, 1979, the government of Tamil Nadu and Kerala had come to an agreement. We can build a dam exactly 1,300 meters down, exactly down the line. and Kerala is willing to build it. Even today, Kerala is saying, we are willing to build the dam. You take the water, you take the electricity. I'm shocked. Why is Tamil Nadu not agreeing? But to me, the biggest shock is, why is the Supreme Court saying this? Are they gods? Can even God say that a 125-year-old dam is going to last for 999 years? You know, Joseph, what is most shocking? Even the 1979 agreement says this agreement is valid for 999 years. You think the Surkhi Dam is going to last for 999 years? Why are there lordships in the Supreme Court not trying to understand? Now, where does the blame go to? The Supreme Court had appointed a 5-member committee, including somebody from Kerala. I don't want to name the person, who's a friend of mine, a chairman from Tamil Nadu, and they said this dam is structurally and hydrologically safe. That is the word used, and Supreme Court went by that. I think extremely unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. We're going to lose sleep tonight. So let's move on to slightly more pleasanter pastures. Does Ram, who is speaking about a Periyar Carnival, which was organized in 2007, linking Tekadi and Munnar and Gavi. Can I give the mic to Ram? Ram, can you speak about it? What is that you had in mind? Can we unmute Ram, please?
Hello.
Yes, Ram. Yeah.
Hi, Ram. Carry on. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, sir. How are you, sir?
Good, good. Very good, Ram. Tell me.
Let me make your point.
I would like to share, because in 2007, I have done a Periyar Carnival in Tegadi. This was organized by DTPC, and we had a lot of number of activities, including trekking, tiger trail, river rafting, and of course, along with flower show. So I was suggested in that meeting with DDPC to connect Munnar, Tekadi, then Gavi. Gavi was not heard, even we took a trip to Gavi. Maybe after that movie called Passenger, I think Malayalam movie, I think Gavi became very famous, and I think everybody started going to Gavi. And it's a beautiful place. Like that animal sanctuary, wildlife sanctuary. And I think it's been now, I did this event in 2007. It's almost 13 years. And I think there was no action, at least to, discuss this at the government level. So it's a great project because it will earn lots of foreign exchange, and at the same time, it will attract domestic tourists, and that will prop up the Idiki economy also.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Ram. Can you, Alphonse, can you respond to that?
Yeah. See, Ram, I think it's a great idea. You know, Joseph, Ram, how this entire Munnar came to be even known to Kerala, because till 1980, people said Munnar is a British kingdom out there. Hardly anybody ever went there. You know, we organized this huge festival called Munnar Mela, lasting 10 days, flower show, all kinds of trekking, games, a whole lot of things in 1981, 82, and 83 for 2 years. And then, of course, the Tata Tea continued this. And that is when actually even Kerala and anybody in India came to know there is a place called Munnar. So I think what you've done is a great thing. But I would suggest, Ram, let me plan a trail for you. I think start from the Eriamangalam, go up to what I said, Chitrapuram, that area, camp there, go rock climbing, trekking for a couple of days, drive up to Munnar, don't stay in Munnar at all, go up to Marayur. On the way, you go through the Iravaikulam Wildlife Sanctuary, it's on the end route. Stay in Munnar for a day, maybe whatever also, come back, and then you take the most spectacular ride on earth from Munnar to Tekadi. You know, you go down there, and from there, you know, first, of course, the tea garden, then comes the pepper area, then comes the cardamom area. Oh my God! In my time, it was a Kacha road. I've done a million times that on that road. It's the most incredible drive. And of course, there are a lot of resorts have come up. So you must camp for a day also in between from Munnar to Tekadi. You must camp at least for a couple of days in a couple of those areas. Plenty of rock climbing, forest there, and of course, go up to Tekadi, and then whatever Ram is doing could be. And then I would add, yes, go to Gavi. I've been there. In fact, we've spent some money also before I became tourism minister. Money was given. I think the project, we have created some infrastructure there. Vagaman, that is a place with incredible opportunities. We've spent some money and opened a little kind of a resort there. We spent about 100 crores, but we have still about 500 acres of land available there, which can again be planned. See, this is where I completely disagree giving patches of land to people. Government must get the best planner in the world plan out, because Vagamon again is fantastic. It's beautiful. It's just about 30 kilometers drive from Kanjarapalli and also from Punjab. So we need to pack 10 days into this, into Munnar. That's where we're going to make money. You know, this is where Kerala is going to make money.
Speaking of this sort of new ideas on tourism, Alphonse, how do you say the tourism industry has been completely flattened because of COVID? It's destroying the tourism industry. How do you see Kerala tourism in Kerala looking after COVID? What are the areas we can focus? You spoke about Munnar attracting very low-end tourists, backpackers. Do you think we should, because travel is going to be expensive, flights are going to be expensive after COVID. Do you think Kerala should switch its to high-end tourism rather than the low-end tourism that it's been looking at? What are the other possibilities you see post-COVID?
See, one of the things, contrary to what is happening in Goa, which is really backpack tourism, Kerala has focused on the right thing, on the right products. They're focused on the middle end and the high end tourism, which has been a very, very good thing. So we don't really have too many of these backpackers coming. See, I'm not against a backpacker. Even I think President Kennedy's son came here and stayed in Pahargan. He was a backpacker. But of course, see, we have limited space in Kerala. So we need to really get the maximum out of this in terms of money, isn't it? It's very important. It employs, we need to employ people, we need to pay salary, and therefore we need to concentrate. So Kerala's focus has been right. But Joseph, today, Corona, tourism globally is dead. It's completely dead. When are we going to revive? I have no idea. When is Corona going to end? Unless that happens, tourism is not going to take place. And when that happens, when the whole thing is going to subside a little bit, I think people are going to travel within the state itself, So that is why basically don't look for foreign tourists over the next couple of years. Don't even look for tourists from very far away, even Delhi. That is where Keralites need to travel. Please, no point, my dear Achayans, putting all your money into land, into your bank accounts, and letting your sons line up before a bar at 11 o'clock in the morning. That's what all Kerala fathers have been doing. Accumulating money, which the children misuse because they don't have the slog. We all come from backgrounds where we are slog like crazy. Spend money. You don't know when you're going to die. You don't know. COVID or otherwise, COVID gives you, and therefore, Joseph, please exhort people, spend money, go traveling, learn about people, go climbing, do whatever you like.
Kerala,
look at Kerala, look at the backwaters. I mean, look at the backwaters. Look at our boat, your houseboats. It employs thousands and lakhs of people. Everybody is starving.
Okay, thank you so much. Before I move on,
industry across is starving.
Before I move on, I got a question from Tom Aditya, who is in the UK. He's the mayor of Bristol. But before I move to him, I'd just like to announce that the next episode, the third episode of All That's Kerala, would be with Dr. T.P. Srinivasan. T.P. Srinivasan is somebody who everybody knows. He's from the Indian Forest Service. He's been our ambassador, India's ambassador to the UN. He has worked in many countries as a diplomat. And his topic is very strange. He's going to speak about all that I do not know about Kerala, meaning all that T.P. Srinivasan does not know about Kerala. This will be on 2 weeks from now. That is on.
But he knows too much. 19th. He knows too much, Joseph. He's a man of incredible wisdom.
He knows a lot. So I thought I'll announce it. This will be on the 5th of September, Saturday. That is just an interlude. But I go to Tom Aditya. Tom Aditya is in Bristol. He's the mayor there. What is the question you have, Tom?
Thank you, MB Joseph, sir. And
Joseph, before Tom speaks, let me tell you who Tom is. Tom is a young mayor of Bristol, Bradley. I think so. I always get the town wrong. He is an upcoming politician, conservative mayor of. We're very proud of you, Tom. He's the one who persuaded me to bring in a cancer patient, get into an air ambulance, get the sanctions, and bring him to Kerala. Unfortunately, he passed away. So Tom was the man who persuaded me. Recently, we got London Cochin flights again under the Vande Bharat flight. So again, Tom was the one who persuaded me, taste of things to do these things. So Tom is very active. Keralite. He's a great. Congratulations, Tom. Yeah.
Tom, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alphonse, sir. As well as MB Joseph, sir, because you've been also part. Many people doesn't know that You've been trying to connect with the VJ Korean sir, so I didn't know. And for, as it's the talk about Kerala tourism, direct flights to connecting with the Cochin, and then it'll be to Munnar or helipad or something. That'll be really helpful. And I have also a connection with Munnar, because when I was young, that's maybe 1 year, 2 year old, my family, we were living at Madhupati, so we have close connections with Munnar. Still, I remember those places and how mesmerizing it was and captivating. And thanks for sharing these things, as well as regarding, I have some queries regarding Mullaperiyar and other few things. One of the things which Munnar could develop is, I'm seeing so many places how the forest resorts are being developed here. So we could have done such a program in Munnar without touching the environment, as well as, in conjunction or actually hand in hand with the environment. So that would be the best way forward for Kerala tourism. And I think you already touched that, sir. So I think and also a public-private partnership. Someone was mentioning about government giving rest houses or resorts. Again, someone who is managing that resource is actually the thing. Also, transparency and accountability is a master when government is doing that kind of business. It's better to give it to private hands. So that's my talk. And nice to hear the good talk. And I was listening to most of the part, even though I had another program in between. Thank you very much. Thanks for this opportunity.
Nice to see you, Tom. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Aditya. Tom, yes. Mohit has a question, but before Mohit's question, I'll go to Jayant Krishna once again. Jayant has a doubt more than a question. It's also a question. Can you unmute Jayant, please, Mohit, so that Jayant, can you come on, please? Yeah, thank you so much.
I somehow love Kerala. I believe it's God's own country.
Everybody does. Everybody loves Kerala.
Yeah, but
everybody loves Raymond, so everybody loves Kerala.
Yeah, I've had some short holidays 3-4 times, and I've been to Thiruvananthapuram maybe 50 times, because that time I was with Tatas and TCS had a huge investment there. So, but my only worry is, whenever I've tried to go to Munnar, I was told for a 2-night stay, you need to keep aside 4 days, either from Cochin or elsewhere. So could the connectivity be any faster? Because, today's, I know when people come to Kerala, they come on leisure and they should have time at their disposal. But that's not the real world. I mean, people do want to reach in a couple of hours' time, or at best half a day's time, and then, get going. So could be any faster?
Jayant, you see, because when today the road from Cochin Airport to up to Neriamangalam is a 4-lane, but the problem is you have to pass through Kaladi, Perimbavur and all that, and that's very cramped. Also Buvatuvada, so it's very, very cramped. Too much of traffic. So just to cross that area itself will take you a couple of hours. Then you reach Neriamangalam. Now we are 4-laning that road, so it should be much easier. But again, please don't go to Munnar. Stop 5 kilometers this side of Munnar, turn right, take a blind turn right. That's where all the action today is. I mean, I can tell you, but take this right. From there, go up to Munnar, stay in that Chitrapuram area, and then take the Munnar Tekadi drive. It's just incredible. Stop for a couple of days on the way. We have beautiful resorts, and then go and stay. We need to really develop Wagaman, because there are no decent hotels in Wagaman, and then also, that area. So yes, there is so much. There is so much. Go with your family. Your family will love, because it's so much of, birds and plants, and it's fantastic. I mean, I love that place. Even today, whenever I get time, that's a place. Yeah.
I love the answer that Alphonse gave you. I'll say that when you go to Munnar, it's not the destination that matters. It's the journey. It's
Absolutely.
The hills. And that's beautiful. And I know the time is short, but it's not being in Munnar. It's a dirty little town. It's a journey that matters. And that's the most enjoyable part of it. So, of course, you're right. We should try and cut down the time. There is a question from Mohit. Mohit, you had a point, isn't it? More than a question. You have a point.
Thank you very much, sir. It's like while you are talking about these scenic places, like rubbing the wounds, especially during the COVID times when we can't travel. And there's so many of us who would have planned to go to Kerala at this point of time, considering monsoons. But sir, I always have one point, that cities are an individual entity. So for example, we should actually be presenting our cities not in the own cities, but we should actually take these cities outside those cities. So for example, Munnar or many cities of Kerala should be showcased in other parts of the country as well as in the world. And till date, we have not been able to see much of traction from the tourism ministry, be it the state, be it the central as well. Any specific reason, sir? Why do you think that we are not getting innovative in promoting our own country to the world, despite Kerala has done some commendable work, and it's an example of how a brand can be created around a state. Any thoughts on that, sir?
Mohit, when I was a minister in 2018, in the Global Travel and Tourism Council report, India is at number 3. We are at number 3. You know what was the revenue that year from tourism? $234 billion, not million, $1 billion. We employ 81 million people. We are doing well. Kerala was doing well, but we can do so much more, because I believe nothing else is possible in Kerala except bit of IT. I thought once upon a time in 1980s, when we started the IT park, we were going to be a global IT place. Today, I live in Delhi. My next door, Noida, is 10 times bigger than entire Kerala's IT thing. You are not growing. You don't allow. Number 2, the only possibility was tourism. I mean, that was immense possibility, because Keralites are versatile. They know languages. They know how to be courteous when they want to be. I mean, that is I'm adding a write-off, when they want to be. Okay. So I thought these were the only 2 possibilities. Suddenly tourism is dead, but let's plan out. And so we have done amazing publicity. I have traveled, I don't know, I was traveling 25 days a month when I was a minister, talking, selling India, and across all from Greece to Latin America, everywhere. So we've done pretty well. We can do so much more, so much more. Take, for example, Sarnath, where Buddha delivered the first lecture. We're getting so few people there. And I told the UP government, give me more land. Let's put more money out there. So I give them about 250 crores when I was there. I should be getting how many million? 5 million tourists just in Sarnath alone. That place is still very much intact. Imagine. So there are so many things in India. I mean, I represent Rajasthan in the parliament. Oh my God, Rajasthan, the palaces, the fortresses. Oh my God, it's so incredible. The spice, the dance, the music. You know, so every state has got so much. I mean, even though I, as a Keralite, I'm very proud of my state. Every state has got so much. You know, yes, let the corona be over, but in the meanwhile, let's get our own local people to travel within the state. You are going to die. Don't accumulate all this money. It's all useless. Okay, get people to travel. Absolutely, spend the money. But Mohit, let me ask you, why is it? No, because I may not get him, Joseph. So give me half a second. Why is not my book not reviewed? Why? Penguin. Why is this book, which is in the 13th edition, why is this not reviewed? This is DC Books. This is Penguin. Why is this not reviewed?
Mohit should answer that. While he's waiting for an answer,
I may not get him again. That's why racist.
No. I'll come back to you. I'll go to Admiral Muralidharan. Admiral Muralidharan has a question, has a recommendation. Can you unmute Admiral Muralidharan, please, and let him ask the question? Admiral Muralidharan.
Thank you. Actually,
hi, Admiral, how are you?
How are you? Good to see you, sir.
My neighbor is an Admiral, Ashokan.
Okay. I know him. I'll give him my regards.
Fantastic person, very nice guy.
Yeah. No, my basic thing is, now I did my schooling in the other side of Munnar, in a place called Amravati Nagar in Tamil Nadu, just across the other side, Yavudumalpet. Now, after 50 years when I went there, I find that area has developed so much more, including the old Trimurti Dam has been developed into a wonderful watermanship training center. Now, I was wondering why I have done a lot of trekking in Munnar, that area. Why have we not developed a mountaineering institute in Munnar, like has come up in, Uttarkashi and, Darjeeling, etc. This has got a wonderful potential, as you yourself brought out to that area. And even while we are talking of dams of Kerala, I'm not too sure whether they're doing desiltation, because something that as a Navy man have been facing in ports, tremendous, siltation takes place. If we do that, we can store so much of water. Just a recommendation, this Mountaineering Institute.
Alphonse, the floor is yours.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. You see, there's such immense possibility. Not only just that one spot, we have this entire Idiki, so incredible for mountaineering, training, trekking, and all that. Set up an institute. Let the state government take the initiative. You see, they are borrowing so much of money. Use it effectively. I'm against any government borrowing money which is not going into productive uses. Again, this is my complaint with Dr. Thomas Isaac. He's very keen to borrow, fine, but please use it. Come on, set up an institute like this. which can bring in so much of money, people, training, sell Kerala across. And that's got to be our strength, because those of our future is very, 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 very grim, because we are going to have millions of people coming back from Dubai and Gulf area. I mean, even if this law in Kuwait goes through, something like 500,000, 5 lakh people are going to come back. You know, the Kuwaiti Draft Act goes through. Even otherwise, with oil prices being what it is, there's no opportunities. We're going to have millions of people going to come back. We need clear opportunities. Will we allow manufacturing in Kerala? No, because you will not allow. You're going to have, what you call a strike somewhere or the other. Things not happening. So you need to have tourism. Again, they have accepted tourism from your hartals and strikes. How can you? I bring you a cruiser with 3,000 people to Cochin. Your city is closed. Your taxis don't run, and you say that it is tourism is accepted from your hartals. Have some sense. Every political party, please, in areas of development, in thoughts of development, please don't bring in politics. Even I'm against my own party having hartals. I said, no, we can't do this because we are killing ourselves. The only area where we can create jobs and money is tourism, and you're killing it. Let's not do this.
Alphonse, you have also the distinction of having made Kottayam town the first 100% literate town in India. Kerala is a 100% literate town. Now, with all that, where do you see literacy versus education in Kerala? And particularly from Kerala's point of view, from a tourist point of view, Kerala is literate, yes. How educated are we?
Joseph, I'm very proud to have been the district collector when this 100% literacy thing happened. It was a complete involvement of the whole city, just not the district collector. In fact, the idea came from the NSS of the university, finance idea with the, and then collector became the coordinator. And everybody in in Kottayam city, including the richest people, Kottayam has a lot of millionaires and billionaires, everybody got involved. From a very non-fashionable subject, it became the most fashionable subject. If anybody said, I'm not involved with literacy, I'm not teaching, it was a shame in Kottayam. So we made it to a beautiful subject. And it became a model for the nation, and fantastic. But the question, as you're saying, yes, today everybody is literate. Are we sensible? I see so many issues. The other day, when a body was not being permitted to be cremated just next to the collector's house in Muttambalam in Kottayam, I said, what is the point of education? Right in Kottayam, the city of letters. What is the point? And again, Joseph, I feel deeply pained. Take the new educational policy. I was a member of that for some time before I became minister. The first thing that comes up in a debate is, this is completely wrong. And you know, the moment they open their mouth, we know what is their ideology. Please, for heaven's sake, there are a lot of good things in there. Why don't we say, let's all together do it? Because education today does not produce a single graduate in Kerala, Joseph, and I reiterate, I know I'm going to create a lot of enemies, who is employable. You don't produce graduates who are employable. You just study by rote. The other day, this was about 20 years back, I asked this girl who was a topper in the board examinations in Kerala. Her pictures was all over the place in television, newspaper. I asked her a simple question, my dear girl, what are you going to do with your life? You know what she said? I'll go home, I'll ask my mother, and then I'll tell you. This is what a Kerala education is teaching. Learning by rote, repeat, tuition, you vomit into the answer sheets. Sorry, this is not education, Kerala. Give them autonomy to the colleges. Let them work out global syllabus. Let the global universities come in there, private enterprise. Get better teachers. Your PhDs are all fraud. I'm sure there'll be some PhD sitting here. They're all fraud. It's all cut and paste. Maybe one person, maybe a genuine PhD. The others all cut and paste. Come on, change. I was on the syndicate of so many universities when I was Secretary of Higher Education. You don't let things happen. Your university is governed by headload workers and trade union leaders. Is it how you want to run a university? Is it how you want to create a young generation? My agenda is very simple. Learn, teach children to dream for themselves. Dream. What is a dream? It's not just about me. My role in the society. That's why my book is titled Making a Difference. Teach them to make a difference. If you don't do that in school, sorry, you're not going to create. Kerala is going nowhere. Every country that is ever progressed started with education, putting a dream into a child. You don't do that. And we pride ourselves on being the most literate state, the best education. Sorry, you're wrong.
You've been an MLA, you've been an MP, you've been a minister. How do you think we can make a difference in politics in Kerala?
Joseph, very simple. When I became an MLA, I quit IAS. I became MLA on 32nd day. I was an independent MLA supported by the left. I announced after a week, I said that one thing which MLAs in Kerala are doing, MPs in Kerala are doing, you get out with a bundle of wedding invitations. You take the obituary from the newspapers. You go from one marriage, funeral. By the end of the day, you are in 50 albums. That is the end of the day. I said, sorry, I'm not elected to be I'm not elected to be a marriage MLA. You elect somebody else. I don't mind. I said all that I'm going to do is, I lived in a tiny room in the Kajirapalli rest house, which was actually the official toilet of the Maharaja on his trip from Trivandrum to Pyramid. So if you say the word guest house, it's just 2 tiny rooms. I stayed there, drove my own car, the Scorpio. I didn't have a driver. What we did was every week we went to a village, every day. We did fixed in advance. I would take the panchayat president members, go to that panchayat, spend the whole day there, listen to them, work out a priority, work out what is their top priority, take 3 things, and then I would chase for the money. In 5 years, I got 350 crores into my constituency. And let me tell you one thing I did. The civil station, which is, I think, a beautiful piece of architecture in Kajirapalli, in the heart. Supposed to finish in 3.5 years, we finish it in 427 days. Is it possible in Kerala? Yes, it is possible. You have to make a change. Listen to people. So please, for Kerala politics, change this damn thing of marriage, funeral, MLA. Go to panchayat, listen to them. Drive yourself so that you can stop whenever somebody wants to talk to you. You can look at their faces and say, oh, that person wants to talk to me. Stop. Not when you are relaxing at the back of your car and you don't see people.
I think we have been for over an hour, and perhaps we should sort of wind it up. Alphonse, can you tell me 3 things, positive things, which you think will make Kerala great in the next 10, 15, 20 years? 3 things.
Number one,
yes.
Number one, stop these, change the entire education system. Get our kids to dream big. Every kid should say, I am going to change the world. It has to start with the family. Instead of who is telling the child to be a money machine, to be an ATM today, every parent is teaching the child to be an ATM. Instead of that, tell the child, money is good. Civilization, culture is about how you spend your money. So my dear child, you must bring about a change in the world, not the prime minister, not the MLA. You must bring about the change. Bring dream into our education. Number 2, please don't discuss irrelevancies. You look at our television discussions. Past 1 month has all been about the Swapna, who or she is. I don't care. Swapna. I think that's her name.
Dreaming, but no Swapna.
You're a very witty guy. Yes, please. You are discussing. I went for discussion one day. I get calls from channels saying, please, Alphonse, come again. I said, whatever I want to, yeah, please. We discuss irrelevancies. We don't discuss real issues. What is number 3? Please, political parties, talk about creating employment, tourism. I'm glad you touched upon this whole issue of tourism. That's our only future. Plan out, sit with people, sit with the hospitality industries, and let's plan out how we can bring tourism back, because there's nothing else, but unfortunately tourism is dead. We need to bring it back. Get families to travel. Get Kottayam people to travel to Vagaman. Stay there, to Thekadi, to Munnar. Stay there. Go to Marayur. Stay there for a whole week. Come on, you can keep your distance and still travel, So these are some of the things which I think it needs to be. And this entire dialogue in Kerala politics has to change. Let's have people who will do things, who will manage things, who will deliver, not how many marriages, how many funerals you have attended to, performance.
Thank you so much, Alphonse. When you said let people in Kottayam travel to Vagaman, there is Benny saying, why are people from Kottayam traveling abroad? I don't want you to answer that because we are sort of, But then you see, thank you for those 3 points. You say dream big, but not Swapna. But tourism is certainly one of the, not Swapna in the sense that don't discuss things which are not really material to the future. And finally, you say tourism. Thank you so much. There is a suggestion from, I think it's from Ravi Chandar. What is the best way to end an episode like this? The poem. And Ravi Chandar Venkataraman says, let's end it with a poem. So I'll hand the mic over to Ravichandran. Can Mohit pass on the mic, open the mic for Ravichandran? And would Ravichandran end it with a poem, please?
Yeah.
Shall I? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you so much.
Hi,
Thank you
Ravi.
so much. Hi, Mohit. Yeah. Thank you so much,
No, Alphonse.
Thank you so much, Jovial Joseph, sir, and
Not hearing you.
and a lot of inspiration I get from your last few points. Now here I go. I just happened to browse and then got this wonderful poem about Munnar. I'm still searching for the author. I'm not able to find out, but there are about 6 paragraphs. So let me just sum it up in 3. Shall I?
Please.
Feeling a little dizzy and queasy, traveling up the Western Ghats winding slopes, I persuaded myself to relax and take it easy as nature filled my mind with pleasant hopes. Seated atop an enormous elephant, gazing at the landscape around me, at that juncture, nothing seemed as magnificent as the aroma and sight of trees and leaves of tea. Up in the mountain, there came a moment in time when, by a white shroud, I was surrounded. Under a spell of rain, the scene so sublime that for a while I imagined I was blinded. My fascination, I must admit, on my first encounter with the wild Nilgiri ibex, scampering away, possessed by a restless spirit, which seemed far too complex. Of which place do I speak? A hill station, divine in its creation. Munnar is the name you seek. Sojourn here with no hesitation. Thank you so
Wow,
much.
beautiful.
Wow,
Beautiful.
Ravichandran, wonderful.
Beautiful.
What an appropriate way to end this talk about Munnar and the mountains. And you have a certain nice diction. You know, you're the poem, the way you render it is so
He
appropriate.
breathes poetry, Joseph. That's
He
the word.
breathes
Breathes.
poetry. Good. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful, Alphonse. You've pointed out so many of the good that Munnar is, and so many of the faults. And what all that Kerala, Chat Along the Backwaters, is really trying to look at as to how we can move forward. And I think you have given the way in many ways than one, many more ways than you've imagined. How Kerala, and this is meant for our global audience, people all across the country, people all across the world. And it's been amazing to see your mind working. You go to the past and then take it forward to the future. It's been wonderful to see your mind working and sharing that mind with us. As I said in the beginning, you may be junior to me in the IAS, but you are BAP in all other matters. You're very senior to me in every other respect. Thank you so much. I won't take your time further. I'll hand the mic over to Mohit for whatever concluding words he might have.
Wow, what a fantastic journey it was to such
Can I
lovely.
say a word before Mohit you conclude? And Joseph has been an incredible guy. And when we got into service, we are kind of looked at, envy at Joseph, very handsome, most handsome guy in the Kerala cadre of the IAS, guy with ideas, dashing and being international civil servant and doing so, and very articulate and doing things. I'm so happy that you got Joseph to do this, and thank you, your organization, your City Book Readers. I'm so glad you're trying to promote reading. You know how many books I have read in the past 3 months, and I've been telling, I've been doing all these webinars. I said, please read a few pages, just savor it, just don't run through, and it can just be fantastic. I'm just reading this book published by my batchmate, came out last week. This is on India, China, Shakti Sinha.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I read multiple books at the same time. So I'm so happy that that you're doing this. Please do this. Let's get more sense into Kerala. I'm not saying Keralites are not sensible. More sense into Kerala. I think it's a fantastic thing. But please tell people to read my book also. Okay, all right.
Certainly, sir. That's a mistake.
The last word will be mine, Mohit, before I hand over the mic to you. Alphonse said that he was envious of me many years ago. Today, I'm envious of you, Alphonse. I'm envious of all.
Thank you,
that
Joseph. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. I'll hand over the mic, but Mohit, you should do a review of his book, please. City Book Readers should do a review of Alphonse's book. I think it's worth it.
Certainly. Do you think I can run away with that? Not possible at all.
Catch you, yeah.
And certainly, while you say about being envious, it reminds me of the Onida ad which said, "Neighbors envy, owners pride." So for us, we are the owner of this initiative where we would love to do Mr. Alphonse's book. Why? Because making a difference, and that's what I mentioned to him. I read his book, some of the pages, and making a difference such a beautiful book, which is about empathy and why should we be empathetic about whatever we do. And that's what even Adi Shankaracharya in his message across the Vedic ages in the Upanishads he gave. And today, ladies and gentlemen, if you see on the background, you see Mother's Meal, which is a lovely initiative that Mr. J Alphonse has done. And
it's my brother's initiative, Father George Kanadana. Yeah.
But what you have done is very commendable, sir. I guess there are millions of meals that have been distributed, and I think that's where you are making a difference, and you're living up to the cover of your book, and you're living that life as well. It's truly a privilege to have you here today, and we would love to do a book talk with you very soon. And to our lovely host of this entire series, Mr. MP Joseph, and to all the lovely audience and everyone who could contribute with their questions and certainly to their poem as well. We wanted music in this section. So next time we look forward for some Malayali music to be added to this segment.
Malayalam, not Malayali music.
Malayalam music, yes.
We are Malayalis. The language we speak is Malayalam.
Certainly.
If you have completed,
Yes.
I would also like to thank Ravichandra one more time. That was a beautiful poem. And also remind everybody that the next episode number 3, is on the 5th of September. It will be Dr. T.P. Srinivasan, who will be speaking on the Kerala I do not know, not I, but the Kerala that he does not know. So it's wonderful. Thank you so much. And particularly,
Joseph, don't stop this episode. I think it's fantastic. It's really very nice, really. And you've done a great, fantastic job. Keep it up.
You.
Yeah.
And I'll conclude by saying one more word about Alphonse. They say, Annadate Devo Bhava. You are Devo Bhava. Thank you so much.
Can we have everyone's videos on so that we can take a Zoom fee of this special episode? Selfies are no more in the tradition, but yes, Zoom fees are. If everyone can just open up their videos.
And Sunny and everybody else, Selen and Ajit Kumar and Gudia and iPhone. There are 2 iPhones. And Ajit Kumar and Dali John.
Are now Indian.
Yeah. Kumar, Sunny Joseph and everybody else. I'm there twice. Office of the Mayor, LSD Engineers, Erdima Kaul, Navya, Ramachandran, Vivek. Everybody, please open your. Wow. Radhakrishnan, please. Yes, that's wonderful. There is Fireflies. Note taker, Shine. Shine, can you please?
We see there a beautiful, lovely kid with Adarsh. There is a beautiful,
Shine,
lovely
will you
kid.
Open your. Is that Shine Gopal? Please open. Oh, it's a beautiful shot if you can get this one. That's a lovely idea.
So lovely to see so many people at this point of time. In India, it's 9:30. I'm sure in the Middle East where people have joined in, that must be around 8-ish. But it's time for dinner. And thank you everyone for joining in. Have a great time. We see you for our next session on 5th of September.
And a big round of applause to Mohit. It's his idea which we developed. Thank you, Mohit.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Join us next on September 5th. Goodbye and good night. क्या क्या बाहर अंदर रखिए
कुछ चाहिए
Joseph sir, you can now cancel the meeting.
नीचे का किताब लेके जाना है रखना है इधर
सब ऊपर लेके जाओ
लैपटॉप जो रखा
हेलो
So you can cancel the meeting because you're the host. I cannot do that.
हेलो
Yeah, sir, can you?
हेलो
So you can cancel the meeting. I cannot because you are the
Oh, I
host.
see. Okay, okay.
Bye. So you can make me the host and then I will cancel it because you are still logged in with your phone, I guess. Just go to the participants and make me the host, or you just end the meeting there in your phone. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so because now this is going live as well, you can cancel this. Yeah. Zoom. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Okay.